Good morning, everyone. I am Gordy Webster, publisher of the Business Journal, and we are live here at the beautiful Tangled Materials showroom in Fresno for the Business Journal's Part 2 virtual business series with John Shegerian, co-founder and executive chairman of ERI. Before I formally introduce John, I want to thank all of you out there who registered for this virtual event, as well as John and his team at ERI. If you missed it, this past March, John brought us a brighter insight into the world of cybersecurity, not only business, but everyday life. The insecurity of everything, why hardware data security must be priority number one. If you'd like to view this recorded presentation, please go to thebusinessjournal.com and go to our events page. You can review it there along with other information you might want. John's message today is an important one. He will be delivering what every business needs to know about the circular economy and unexpected ways companies can benefit when they engage in the circular economy. Just a reminder, our event this morning will be recorded and sent to you after, in case you can't stay with us for the next 40 minutes. During the presentation, we encourage you to ask questions for John. Please add those in the chat at the bottom of the screen. We will open up for Q&A session when we conclude. We'd also like to thank Tangled Materials for opening up their beautiful showroom to us today again. We appreciate your team and the continued partnership. Now to introduce John. Anybody who knows John Shegerian knows he wears many hats. And when you boil it down, it's pretty simple. John creates profitable impact companies that make the world a better place. As co-founder and executive chairman of ERI, he has helped pave the way for expansion in electronic cycling, data protection, and IT asset management, creating a company that processes more than 1 billion, that's with a B, billion pounds of electronic waste annually at its 8 certified locations, serving every zip code in the United States. John is also a sought-after speaker, panelist, electronic recycling industry authority. Annually, he speaks across the world, Asia, Europe, Middle East, and North and South America. He has also written articles for several key industry publications and regularly provides his expert knowledge to the news media. He is also a successful author, podcast host, serial entrepreneur, and marketing expert who has built successful brands around everything from tortillas to root beer to financial aid and sleep aids. What do you think of that? He's an all-around fascinating guy, and we are honored to have him here again with us today. So it is my pleasure to introduce my friend, John Shegerian.
Thank you, Gordy. It's really an honor to be here again today. I want to thank you personally for welcoming me and my family to the Central Valley when we moved here in 1996. It's a 25-year partnership and friendship that's lasted the test of time. And what makes me so happy is that our children, the next leaders of the Valley, are also very good friends. Ashley, Courtney, Adam, Tyler. It just really makes me so happy. Also, I want to thank the Fresno Business Journal, Tangled Materials for making me feel at home and inviting me to speak on these very important topics. Today's topic is from linear economy to circular economy. I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but I just have one piece of housekeeping to do before we go through today's presentation. This book, which I promised anyone who wrote to Ashley after my last presentation, called The Insecurity of Everything, has finally been published. And the publisher's sending us all our copies within the next 2 weeks. It's right here. And for those of you who ordered a copy, we're going to be sending you your copy within the next 2 weeks. And also for your patience, we're going to send a little surprise gift, extra gift in there with it. So thank you for being patient. I think you'll find this book very informative. This is a critical issue, as we could see from the Colonial pipe down ransomware attack that we had from last weekend. Cybersecurity and the issues surrounding it affect all of us personally, affect the United States and our homeland security and our infrastructure and our good friends around the world as well. This book will cover many of those topics and help you be more cyber secure. So thank you for being patient. At the end of my comments today, as you know, Gordy and I are going to be doing a Q&A on the couch again. And I also have a little surprise for you at that point as well. For those of you who stay tuned and ask some questions, I have a very new book that I'm going to be sharing with anyone who writes a great question at the end that we answer. It's called The Waste-Free World. It's written by my friend, Ron Gonen. It covers in depth all the issues we're going to be covering today and much more, going from a linear to circular economy. I got very lucky in life. I started a company here in Fresno, California in 1998 called financialaid.com. And we became part of the dot-com boom. And it became a very successful story with my partners, Mike and Matt O'Brien. And people, young people especially, ask me all the time, what's the next great thing? What's the next dot-com opportunity? And my answer to them now is taking the linear economy to the circular economy. Trillions of dollars are going to be invested in the next decade as we move from what we know to be a linear economy, which means where we just use the goods and services that exist on the planet and throw them once into the landfill where those resources can never be used again, to a circular economy where we take what we use and we repurpose it for beneficial reuse over and over and over again, and save the resources and energy and all the other important parts of our environment so the world becomes a more sustainable and safer place for all of us. From linear to circular economy, we're going to use ERI as a backdrop example today. But honestly, this affects every part of the waste stream you could think of. I'll give you a few examples. Besides electronics, the food waste stream, the plastic waste stream, the clothing waste stream, all have massive opportunities for entrepreneurs out there that want to make fortunes but want to make the world a better place. Millionaires and billionaires will be born over the next decade as we shift from a linear to circular economy. My story starts as a young man. I was very lucky. I was raised in New York City, but we also had a horse farm in Toms River, New Jersey. I was a racehorse trainer and driver. And in 1977, we had a champion racehorse named Noble Darby. We sold Noble Darby for stud when he was done racing to the Hayen family in Belgium. And the Hayens had invented, back then, the best windmill system that ever existed yet in Europe. And my father saw that as a great opportunity to bring that windmill system to the United States with the Hayen brothers. And they created a company called Windmaster. And they built from 1978 to 1980, the biggest windmill farms in America that created alternative energy. And it was that indelible mark that my father set on my life and the success of Windmaster, that you can make a profit, but you can also make the world a better place. And that's what we're going to be specifically talking about today when we go from the linear to circular economy. And that's the great opportunity for all businesses here in the Central Valley, around the United States, and throughout the world, right here, right now. Like I said, we're going to use e-waste as the backdrop story here, just as an example of how we took electronic waste, the backside and dark side of the technological revolution, and we took it out from being thrown into landfills, from the fastest growing solid waste stream in the world, and we moved it at ERI into the circular economy. When we got in this business in 2005 here in Fresno and opened our first facility, e-waste was the fastest growing solid waste stream in the world. And 16 years later, it still is. Actually, by the order of magnitude of 5 times, and I'm going to explain to you why in a little bit. But here's the great news. In 16 short years, my partners and I have created a company that employs over 1,100 people with 10 locations across America that covers every zip code. And when we say we recycle approximately 15 to 16 million pounds of electronics every month, we take those electronics and instead of them going into a landfill, we break down all the electronics into their commodity parts. And that means, in order of magnitude, glass, steel, plastic, aluminum, copper, gold, silver, palladium, and lead. And all those materials go back to smelters around the world for beneficial reuse. Now, I'm going to run through some of these slides, some faster, then slower. Don't worry about keeping up with the slides. This slide deck will be available to you through Ashley Webster and the Fresno Business Journal. If you want a copy, all of you could have a copy. More important is the message I'm going to deliver. ERI has taken a waste stream, e-waste, and that traditionally got thrown into landfills and has now kept it all above ground. And we're zero waste, zero landfill, zero emission. And we make a profit every day. And we've created 1,100 new jobs in the process. When e-waste is thrown away, it pollutes the environment. It gets into our ecosystem because landfills are rained upon, they leach into the ground, water, supplies get polluted, vegetation, animals, and eventually humans also get polluted from e-waste that's mishandled. This is a picture from Asia. When e-waste is sent over to Asia, not only does it pollute the environment because they don't have the right tools to process electronic waste with, but human rights violations happen. Children are brought into the process. It's a bad story. We took what was a bad story and we turned it around. That's taking the linear economy to the circular economy. It's now the fastest growing solid waste stream by an order of magnitude of 5 times. It's grown. Why? The Internet of Things. Think about Nest, Alexa, Ring, all the wearables that we have. They didn't even exist when I got into this business. Think about all the data that's contained in your electronics now. This slide we used in the last presentation I made. Again, old electronics and hardware are still a cybersecurity risk as well. And cars have become computers on wheels. There's a reason why Tesla and many other car companies have become clients of ERI. But again, when handled the right way, you could take what was trash and turn it into cash. You could turn it into reusable commodities. The last mile of the electronic waste stream is the batteries and solar panels that we've created since we've gotten into this industry. Lithium-ion batteries, solar panels, all should not be thrown into landfills. They're very dangerous and hazardous materials contained. And we've gotten into that business as well, and I'll explain how in a few minutes. Collaboration is what's going to fuel the circular economy. Really, nobody could do it alone. You need great partners, not only internally, but externally. Because if you break down whether you're getting into the textile recycling business, food recycling, plastic recycling, e-waste recycling, or any other part of what was considered trash before, tires, mattresses, think about it. All of this stuff should be kept out of landfills and responsibly recycled. Fortunes will be made by entrepreneurs who figure that out and figure out how to do it better than it was done before, and how to gather and gain more commodities from all these products that can be reused. You got to collaborate. You have to make partners. We saw that early in the game, and in 2009, we made a partnership with LS Nico Copper. They take all our printed circuit boards and our precious metals. They're the second biggest copper smelter in the world. It's the LG family, the Ku family from South Korea, and Nico now is JX in Japan. They're the largest metal mining company and also largest energy company in Japan. Great partners to collaborate. They invested in us, they sit on our board, and they radically, transparently take all of our materials with regards to copper and precious metals and printed circuit boards every month from our facilities. Alcoa, a year later, invested in ERI and does the same with our aluminum. Again, no brokers in between, but we collaborate with Alcoa and partner with them because we wanted a radically transparent downstream where they could take our aluminum and then they can market it to their clients that their aluminum is recycled and therefore making a huge benefit to the environment by not mining new aluminum from the ground and further depleting the limited resources that we all have on this planet Earth. Redwood Materials, which was founded and owned by Tesla's co-founder, J.B. Straubel, just invested in us about 6 weeks ago. And they now are taking all of our lithium-ion batteries and also solar shred materials, the last mile of electronic waste. We couldn't do these partnerships alone. We don't know how to smelt. That's not our specialty. We don't know how to extract lithium-ion, cobalt, or nickel from lithium-ion batteries. It took a brilliant genius who co-founded Tesla to come up with those methodologies. But that's why collaborating makes the most sense when you're trying to journey and make the world a better place and change the paradigms that existed for decades before. We're not doing this alone. So many companies are getting part of the circular economy transition. These are just a few to name a few: Heineken, Dell, HP. And this is what the circular economy really looks like. This is what it looks like in ERI. We have retailers that now want to be part of the circular economy who bring us all their old electronics, their returns, their client drop-offs, plus their own electronics that they use in their offices. The big waste companies, Waste Management and Public Services, have become part of the circular economy. And we get all our electronic waste from them. OEMs, local municipalities, City of LA, City of Fresno, City of New York, and 500 cities across the country now send us their electronic waste and the electronic waste of their citizens. We take it back and we either harvest the parts or we shred these materials and we sell the commodities and keep it all out of landfills. All the metals and the plastics and the glass even go back for beneficial reuse. Great companies like Amazon are investing hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions, in the circular economy. They're investing funds that invest in people and entrepreneurs that have new ideas on how to reinvent the linear economy to the circular economy, and they also invest in themselves. Amazon is we're a proud partner of Amazon's, and circular economy behavior and sustainability is one of their most important missions that they're on. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. It's another fancy terminology for circular economy behavior. $30 trillion. And that's a small number. That's a conservative estimate of what's going to be invested in the ESG sector in the next decade ahead. As we know, newly elected President Joe Biden has created an infrastructure program, and all it's about is green infrastructure. Trillions of dollars are going to be spent in America on green infrastructure. That creates so many opportunities for young entrepreneurs that want to become part of this new booming enterprise, taking the linear to circular economy. ESG and circular economy behavior also has other benefits. There's many studies that have been out. Here's some of them that I'm sharing in these slides. How ESG and circular economy companies attract and retain talent more. At ERI, our top 25 employees have been with us 12 years or more. Our top 25 executives. Again, employees at green companies are more productive. They're on a mission. It's not just to make money. And by the way, there's no shame in making money. Like we say at ERI, you have to make a profit to be able to go save the world. But employees stay longer and seek out green companies, companies that are committed to making the world a better place, that are committed to inclusivity and diversity, that are committed to the realities that face us today. Climate change is real. The circular economy is here to stay, and the opportunities bigger than ever. CNBC, this was last week. This is the headline. There's no hotter area on Wall Street than ESG. ESG, fancy terminology for circular economy, for recycling, for repurposing. All these linear economy trash streams, food, clothing, electronics, cars, tires, mattresses, plastics. You think of it, it can be done, and it will be done. And those who do it have fortunes to be made. And look what's happened here. This is just from last week as well. Salesforce.com added climate obligations to all their supplier contracts. What does that mean? It's introducing a new, Salesforce is introducing a new sustainability exhibit in all of its supplier procurement contracts. That means you're going to have to prove up what you're doing as a company if you want to interrelate and do business with Salesforce.com. Blackstone last week announced that all their portfolio companies are going to have to become part of the circular economy and report on sustainability. All the CEOs from every company that Blackstone invested in are now going to have to prove up their real bona fides, what they're doing to make the world a better place, whether that's solar on top of their buildings, whether that's reducing their water consumption, whether that's having a recycling bin in all the offices. Everyone could do something in this journey, and you can start just with the small stuff. The SEC even came out last week and said, now they're going to require publicly traded companies to report on their ESG behavior. This is real. We can't hide from this anymore. So those who embrace this ESG circular economy that now faces us all and these opportunities are going to thrive. Just as a little snapshot from last year at ERI, And people say, what did you really do? Why, John, when you have a good day or a bad day, you go to bed at night and it was always a good day? Because last year, ERI recycled 118 million pounds of electronics. What did that really mean? What does that really add up to? Well, here's the facts. 16 million pounds were kept out of landfills of glass. 41 million pounds of metals was kept out of landfills. 23 million pounds of plastics were kept out of landfills in our oceans. 1.3 million pounds of batteries. What does that mean in terms of carbon offsets? 1.2 billion pounds of carbon offsets were saved. 65 million pounds of water emissions. 8,400 garbage truck runs were prevented, and 11 million pounds of air emissions for trees. That's what we did last year, and we're just one small little company trying to make a difference. People always come to me and say, where do I begin, John? Where do I start? Well, you start by creating a set of core values for your company. Whether you're a new entrepreneur creating a company from scratch, or whether you're a 20-year-old company watching this video and you need a little reset. These are our core values. They're not only up on the walls in all of our facilities and our offices, but they're our signature block. We don't just talk about it, we shout about our values because we're proud of them and we stand behind them. I'm going to read them off here. We are customer obsessed. Yeah, customer comes first. You make your customer happy, you delight your customer, they reward you with more business, you grow bigger, you make profit. Profit is what fuels entrepreneurs who want to change the world. We're innovators. It doesn't happen by accident. You got to create things to create change. We're accountable. We stand behind what we do. My three other partners and myself put together this company and 17 years ago, and we're here standing today, and we stand behind everything we do, both good things and mistakes that we make as well. We're diverse and inclusive. This is a diverse and inclusive society. This is an immigration nation. That's what makes this country great. All different backgrounds, colors, races, ethnicities. We're diverse and inclusive. We're one team. We work together. We're on one mission. Speed matters. A lot of smart people have good ideas, but every second counts. Don't sit on a good idea because someone else will beat you to it. And when you see something, you better do something. It's no longer okay just to say something. Get involved. Make a difference. Well, before I take questions with Gordy, I just want to say, I'm honored to be asked to come to speak on this issue. For young entrepreneurs out there, this is the next .com boom. It's right in front of you. You can grasp it. You can do it. What's so great about this industry is you're not just making another widget or another app. No harm in those as well. But when you make a profit, you're going to go to bed at night like I do, and like my partners do, and like 1,100 employees at ERI do. You're actually making the world a better place. I'm so honored that we started this business in Fresno, California. This is where our headquarters are, about a mile up the street. We've become the largest brand in North America, and I look forward to taking questions and answers from you in a little bit.
All right, thank you, John. As he's making his way over here to the beautiful Tangram sofa, I want to encourage all of you out there to send us some questions. There are a few of you that have sent some already, so I encourage you to do that. John, what a wonderful presentation on the circular economy. I know the whole Fresno community and all of you out there appreciate it.
Thank you, Gordy. And again, for those who sent us questions today, the first 20 people that send questions and they could also write to Ashley and tell us why they want to get involved with the circular economy and how to do it. This is the best book out there. It's written by my friend Ron Gonen. It's called The Waste-Free World, and I'm going to be giving out 20 free copies signed by Ron to people who write in their questions or write to Ashley and say why they want to be involved with a waste-free world.
Great, John. Well, let's get into the questions. They're starting to come in, and let's start with an interesting question right off the bat here. It was part of my intro. What is the biggest challenge or hurdle for the growth of the circular economy? And can you tell us a little bit more about your root beer?
Well, we'll start with the root beer, Gordy. As you know, when I first came to town, I opened up the Bulldog Brewing Company, and we made a partnership with Dr. Tim Stearns at Fresno State and his class there in entrepreneurship, and we created Bulldog Root Beer. And it became a big success. And when we sold the brew, we also sold the root beer. The root beer lives on. I think you can buy it at some great stores around here in town and online. And we're really proud of that root beer. We wanted to make something for the kids, not just beer. With regards to the circular economy, what was the biggest challenge historically, Gordy, was Europe was onto this decades ago, generations ago. So was South Korea and Japan, because those countries are small. They didn't have places to throw out their old trash. They had to repurpose it for beneficial reuse. In America, we just dug more landfills and threw it out. We really didn't get it. But now we get it. Now people are really onto it. We know it's important. We know climate change is real. So both investors want to invest in entrepreneurs who are involved with the circular economy, and the media is behind us as our venture capitalists. There's a huge tailwind now behind the circular economy movement. It's not just in Europe and Asia anymore. It's here in America, and it's here to stay.
Very good. Good answer. Okay, let's get to some more questions here. What advice would you share with businesses that want to become part of the circular economy?
Start small. You don't have to go out and start something really big. But if you see a waste stream that's traditionally been mishandled, food, plastics, textiles, you could start in your own community, and then you could grow from there. We started with one location here in Fresno, California, and our first month of business, Gordy, we recycled 10,000 pounds of electronic waste, and we thought that was huge. And now last month, we recycled about 15 million pounds. So you start small, and you grow from there.
Good, thank you, John. All right, there are questions are starting to come in now. What can small businesses like mine with 10 employees do to implement a corporate policy of zero waste?
Zero waste. You create different recycling bins for plastics, for metals. You get a food composter, and before you know it, you state your mission. You make sure you get everybody on board. You explain to them why you're doing this, and before you know it, you'll be lessening your waste massively, if not getting to zero waste pretty quickly.
All right. Another question from one of our viewers. Does the framework exist for use by those of us in our workplace to start? Would this be our waste stream?
Yeah. I mean, every company has people who bring up ideas or suggestions. It doesn't have to come from the top down. Sometimes leaders are so busy running their company, they fail to see some of the easiest opportunities to make the company a better workplace environment. And one of those areas is in making it a more sustainable, greener environment. And if someone just speaks up or puts a suggestion in the suggestion box and champions this, it's all doable.
All right, another question from one of our viewers. Before companies like ERA came on the scene, where was e-waste going?
Great question.
Companies like yours came on.
Yeah, mostly going to either scrap yards. Electronic waste went to landfills, or as I showed in one of the pictures in that PowerPoint, it was being shipped to India, Africa, or China. And the bad thing about that is not only do they not have the tools to recycle electronic waste appropriately, but also human rights violations were happening. Children were being co-opted into the process, which was also a really bad thing. So having our company and other responsible recyclers now fill that void has been a really great journey.
Okay, so here, another question. How is the investment community receiving companies who participate in the circular economy?
There's more money available than ever before. When we got into ERI, it was hard to raise money around ESG, sustainability, or circular economy related companies, which ERI is one of them. Now, more bankers, traditional bankers, private equity bankers, venture capitalists want to invest in circular economy related companies. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to break into a new industry, there's more money available for you than ever before right now.
Excellent. All right, another question from one of our viewers. How does John see green companies and linear companies coexisting in this economic opportunity transition?
That's a great question. And it doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. Switching from the linear economy to the circular economy is not going to happen overnight, Gordy. Waste Management is a great company. I know the leadership there. Republic Services is a great company. They're not going away tomorrow. They're doing very well. They're making healthy profits. So they do have to coexist. You start small. The journey starts small for all of us. In America, here's the story about electronic waste. Yes, ERI is successful, and there's many other companies like ERI. But guess what, Gordy? After 17 years of running this company, only 17% of all electronic waste in the world that we produce is responsibly recycled. 83% is still being mishandled. So the opportunity for entrepreneurs now to come in this business in the United States and around the world is massive. We have to balance, though, the transition. E-waste, food, textiles can be tackled right now. Plastic, we're on the way. Other products are going to take a little longer. So the linear to circular economy is not a light switch. It's a journey that we're all going to be on together. But new industries will be created, new fortunes will be made, and ultimately the world will be made a better place.
Okay, another practical question from one of our viewers. Are there any electronic devices that cannot be recycled? Pretty practical question.
Yeah, no. The answer is if it has a cord or if it's a cell phone, and now with our great relationship and partnership with Redwood Materials, even solar panels and batteries can be recycled. So the answer is no. Everything electronic can be responsibly recycled now.
Okay, another question from one of our viewers that says, John, what is your next big step for you and your company at ERI?
We're going to grow internationally. We're going to build more facilities in the United States. But for sure, we're going to expand our international footprint, and we're going to have international locations. Within the next 24 months, we expect to have over 15 more locations around the world.
Terrific. Okay, here. Here's a question from one of our younger viewers. You're quite the entrepreneur. What advice would you give young people today? Where should we start?
You got to start from where your heart is. I got lucky. My dad, as I explained earlier, left an indelible mark on me that you could do good, do well, make a profit, but also make the world a better place. If that's your heart, then do it. But do what you love, because if you do what you love, you're going to be great at it. I love creating companies that create social impact, that financialaid.com, Homeboy Industries, ERI, Bulldog Root Beer. That's my love. That's my passion. It's really do what you love, and you're going to make a fortune and make the world a better place no matter what you do.
All right, great. All right, another question from one of our viewers says he wants that book. And personal question.
The Waste-Free World by Ron Godin. If you're going to read one book about the environment this year, this is the book.
Right. Okay, the question is from this viewer, were you ever a Boy Scout, or what formative experiences do you have growing up?
Yes, I was a Boy Scout. I was a Boy Scout. And I went to college in Manhattan, then NYU, then to Loyola Law School, and then moved to the Central Valley. But most of my best education came from just doing. And that's what my real advice to young entrepreneurs are. Just do. There's no straight line to success. There's mistakes, which I don't really call mistakes or failures. I call them just lessons. It's a zig, it's a zag. But if you stick to it, you stay focused, and you really work hard and you work smart, you'll get to where you want to go.
Okay, another question coming in from one of our viewers. Is landfill reclamation a viable business, and is it part of the circular economy yet?
It's a great question. I don't know enough about it. When I've heard some anecdotal evidence about it, typically the materials that get into a landfill get so contaminated that they become rendered virtually worthless. So I really don't think that it's a viable business today. It might be in the future when one of our listeners or viewers develop a technology that can clean the materials in landfills and make them useful. Right now, I don't think that technology exists yet.
Okay, another great question from one of our viewers. How labor intensive is the process? Is this business more scalable, and do we have any technological advances over other countries?
In terms of e-waste, I assume they're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah, we created the world's largest e-waste shredder here in Fresno. It's right downtown. We then built 2 more of them across America. Plus, we have the first robotics and AI in our facilities. So yes, technology can be leveraged to benefit the process. But since over 20,000 new pieces of electronics come out every year, and we're still the innovation nation, it's still a high-touch business, and you still need thousands of employees eyeballing and touching this material across the United States. So we're never going to be a fully automated company. We could leverage automation and technology to make the process better, faster, to create more liberated, which means cleaner commodities, but you'll never eliminate the need for employees. And that's wonderful too. We feel great that we've created 1,100 new jobs across the United States and 300 new jobs here in Fresno.
Okay, let's see. A couple more questions I think we have time for. What's more important when it comes to e-waste, environmental protection or data protection?
Well, that's a great question. It's a balancing act. You got to do the right thing with electronic waste, but no one wants their data to get into the wrong people's hands. We're living through this nightmare right now with the Colonial Pipeline shut down. These ransomware attacks are increasing. Cybersecurity is a real thing. So I don't want to choose one over the other. It's 50-50, but both are critical. When you're getting rid of your old electronics, think about Mother Earth, but think about your own personal safety, your family safety, and your business's safety as well.
Awesome. Okay, I think we have time for our last question here. And it is, you mentioned that e-waste is the fastest growing waste stream in the world today. Do you anticipate that trend will continue?
Yeah, it was the fastest growing solid waste stream when we got into business. Now it's the fastest growing solid waste stream by the order of magnitude of 5 times. So because we're creating smaller and more gadgets than ever before, I believe that trend will continue.
Awesome. John, thank you so much for being here.
It's an honor.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation on the circular economy. It's always a pleasure. Maybe there'll be a third presentation, maybe down the road, we don't know, but anyway, we certainly appreciate you being here this morning. And I know our viewers appreciate it as well.
Gordy, thank you, and Ashley and everyone from Tangram. Just an honor to be here participating in the Fresno Business Journal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a business out there that specializes in something you think can benefit the Central Valley business community, be sure you contact Ashley Webster Rudolph, our associate publisher, and her phone number is 559-490-3421, or you can certainly email her at ashley@thebusinessjournal.com. In closing, I want to thank all of you today for tuning in, and thanks to Tangram again for hosting us in your beautiful space. And we look forward to being back here at Tangram in September for our annual 60 Ideas of 60 Minutes events. Enjoy the rest of the morning.